Welcome to part 3 of my 3-part series for my mudroom, laundry room, and dog shower room. The other 2 videos are listed below and on my channel as well. It'll just give you a bit more details of how I got here, but the reveal is in this video. The Detra is installed and all of that orange makes me so happy. The beautiful finish is nothing if it's not installed properly, and having this entire space as a wet space really eases my mind for the future. This mudroom is timeless and I do not want to redo it. The Schluter drain system comes with a little piece of styrofoam. Do not throw it out until your tiles are completely set. It allows the grate to stay secure and not shift while they are drying. I wasn't sure how I wanted to lay out my tiles, but I landed on stacking them, which is my last choice originally. It seemed the most clean in a small space, especially with the dog shower, because my plan was to envelope the drain and it just made sense. My biggest piece of advice and how I got here is to dry fit your tiles, because originally I wasn't even thinking about stacking them until I put them in the room and thought that's the one. When you dry fit them, you can also plan out your grout lines, your end pieces, because nothing looks worse than 1 to 2 inches of tile in an area that could have been avoided with planning. Your grout lines not lining up with your wall and things like that. So here I am figuring out the envelope system that I'm going to be installing, dry fitting the tiles, aka planning it out. I want the tile grout line to be in the middle of the drain, but the shower is 53 inches wide and the tiles are 48 total. So the envelope drain will allow me to hide those 3 extra inches because you cut them on a diagonal with another piece of tile. Something I have learned as well is use a paper cutout as a template to make sure everything makes sense before you commit to a tile. This is where I've created a pattern out of paper and I will allow me to choose any portion of the tile to cut from. One part of the installation I'm really excited about is to install this Schluter glass edge. So instead of having the bulky hardware feet that hold the glass or a bulky track, you can install this the same way you would install a tile edge, and the glass will fit inside of it and it gives the cleanest look to the shower. This is where I always use my DeWalt laser. It is probably my #1 tool that I suggest using when you are doing any tile job. That way you can walk away and everything is level and plumb and you don't have wonky grout lines. Tiling's tricky because it's always super dusty before it's pretty. But when I lift up this here, this will be tiled underneath it and then my glass is just gonna sit directly in it. I just love the fact that Schluter Systems has thought of literally every single tile requirement or potential that you could be doing in your home, and they make it very easy with their videos online. Now we are getting somewhere. No matter what renovation you're doing, where in your house, having the floor installed makes the space go from feeling so far from finished to almost there. No, we're not almost there, but it feels like it. It definitely feels like it. Once the grout goes in, it's always uglier before it gets prettier because the grout leaves the tile looking very cloudy. It basically just mucks up the water and then you have to allow that to dry. But once you wash it over the next day, it will reveal your beautiful new tile. Now that the floor is done, it's time to get the rest of the custom cabinets that I built inside the kitchen into the laundry space. But before I finish them off, I have a really cool project. Actually, there's 2. I lied. The first one is a concrete countertop that I'm going to DIY in place for the first time. I have created this space right here that I want to turn into a laundry folding station. I want the concrete to overhang the counter by 3/4 of an inch because the doors are going to be installed and they're 3/4 of an inch thick and I don't want them to be out from the whole unit. So I am creating this lip underneath using a scrap piece of wood 3/4 inch thick and my laser level to make sure that everything is level. Then I'm taping it off so that no concrete can get in the creases. And once the concrete is dry, my plan is to pop that off and there should be a beautiful 3/4 inch overhang. This video didn't focus for whatever reason, but that's fine. I have my rebar ready to go and I mixed up my concrete, but before I did that, I actually polyed the top of the wood that I'm going to be pouring on so that the moisture from the concrete doesn't mold up the plywood. This is not my first time finishing concrete. I've actually poured and stamped my own walkway, and I can link that video below. It was such a learning curve, and I had so much fun, but it made me fall in love with concrete. And all of the details on how to pour and do's and don'ts will be in there. So for now, I'm just giving you an overview of what I did in this space. But for more details, check that video out. I definitely recommend this over a $500 piece of stone, although I'm sure the stone is probably more beautiful than this, but for now, this works great, and it only cost $30. So the second cool project is I found this old door on Marketplace, but I did not read how tall it was. When I got it into the space, my plan was to keep it the color and just install it as is, but it was 10 inches too short. So then I pivoted and decided to refinish it and scab a piece of poplar on the bottom, which I think actually looks better than the original door. I wanted it to look antique, and it did not disappoint. So I have the waterproofing on the walls, and now it's time to get the final tile in place. And that is this beautiful 3x12 that I'm going to be installing vertically. There's my laser level again. You will never see me tile without it. Why? Because I've learned the hard way on previous projects when I've stepped back and realized that grout lines are slightly off, and you will see them when you walk away. They have haunted me. Do you guys have any questions or want to see a more specific, in-depth how to tile video? I can definitely do that. As well as anything else you want to see, let me know in the comments below. So the tile is on, and now you're probably wondering how I got the shape of the glass. Well, I used 4 pieces of Bristol board, and I created my own pattern, which I then took to a local glass company, and they cut out a tempered glass for me from my template. These details are coming together, and it's time to prime and paint the cabinets as well as the ceiling, the walls, and everything else. Get the hardware on, and this project is nearing the end. It took me 6 full months. I probably doubled the budget that I set out for, and by probably, I mean I did, but it was so worth it. I painted the bathroom ceiling dark, and it's probably a favorite finish of mine. I installed the new lighting, which always feels like the icing on the cake, and then I built some floating shelves above the dog shower because that space felt a little bit empty. Once the concrete countertops were completely cured and dried, it was time to install the backsplash above them. And I'm using the same tile as I did for the dog shower. That way it looks like it just flows completely through the back of the cabinets. There's my laser again, making sure that the top of the shower lines up perfectly with the top of the backsplash. I got it installed, and now I don't have to bring my laundry to the kitchen table anymore. I've definitely said this before, but this is my favorite renovation to date. I'm so excited with the way it finished and every single detail with planning out the tile, where the drain sits, how the glass looks completely seamless. Every part of this renovation makes me excited. The laundry units look so custom and rich and built in. We're not rich, but this laundry space we have sat in time and time again and said, we have one of those like fancy people laundry rooms. Thanks for watching, guys. If you liked the video, please subscribe, comment, have any questions. I would love to answer them for you. Stay tuned for my next video. I'm very excited to tell you that up next is the kitchen.